So this is a video I was not expecting to have to make, especially since I myself personally found closure within the last chapter of the series of Attack on Titan. And now with this new source of information that I still don't even know if it's 100% confirmed or not, it's hard to say that I really still have the same opinion about this new apparent ending of the series. And from my knowledge, I'm pretty sure that most of the stuff that caused these changes in the ending was because A, Isayama said himself that he didn't know how to go about ending his own series, and that he should have just taken the time off to really sit with how he should end his own manga. And B, which I think is probably the most realistic hard truth about things, is that the community's reflection on the original ending. For the most part, people like myself thought this ending was close enough to being a quite decent closure. But the reality is, and what I think the main issue was, how people reacted and how people treated Isayama when the first and original ending was released. It honestly makes me feel bad for him, because I know without a doubt that if he took the time to sit and honestly take a look at his own series and just, you know, went on hiatus or something, he definitely could have delivered not the ending maybe everyone wanted, but the ending that he desired from once he first started the series of Attack on Titan. It's been years on top of years of amazing and well-written writing from Isayama that people and other mangaka look up to and just wonder how the hell does he do it. And honestly, I think the reality of it nowadays is that with this new quote-unquote ending to this series, it was just something that Isayama could do to turn it in and call it quits. But even now, I still have faith in Isayama either finding a path to write the ending for his own closure, or which after looking at these spoilers for the ending could lead into a next generation manga that will continue the legacy of Attack on Titan. So just like last time, I thought it'd be the end to a manga that I've known for almost 10 years, but since things are a little bit different now, I think it's time we discuss the new ending of Attack on Titan. So just to clear things up and to kind of make sense of just why Isayama changed the ending to his series, like I said, it's not 100% confirmed whether or not anything I say is fully correct, but right now we're just going off the basis from credible leakers and other content creators with the same information. Now, I think with the backlash a majority of the community dealt with Isayama once that final chapter came out, it was something that I think truly Isayama felt dearly to him, and it might have just hurt him entirely. In doing so, he kind of came out saying in an interview that he didn't know how exactly to end his own series. So to all make sense of this, I think you can all kind of see why he did what he did. And from this new ending, it's not entirely changed. And from what we know, the last chapter just has additional pages to it that are spread out throughout the entire chapter, most of which is just extra dialogue and moments where Isayama thought needed more to fit the emotion of the entire series, some of which I definitely feel like were necessary and a wonderful touch to the ending of the manga. But there are definitely some things that after reading it and trying to make sense of, just have me flat out confused and asking questions like, was this really the ending Isayama wanted? But from the spoilers we received, it does seem to be in order mainly Eren and Armin dialogue from the start of the chapter, as their conversation is ongoing, and while they tend to travel the world and see more scenery and of course talk about their lives and what everything was meant for, Isayama adds in, and this is from the spoilers, the destruction of Paradis happens after Eren and Armin return to Paradis directly after exploring the world for 10 years. They return to Paradis and see it got completely nuked a long time ago while they were both away, and Eren and Armin walk through the old ruins of their old home. Eren tells Armin that this happened and all their friends died because he never started the rumbling. Basically, this is just a physical representation of Eren showing Armin what would have happened if he never started the rumbling in the first place. And I believe this is all shown before they talk about Mikasa right by the sea. Eren continues to tell Armin to follow him and take a look at the sea one last time. Then Armin asks, even Mikasa? During their conversation on the beach, and from what was said, this happens all in Armin's dream right before he wakes up. This then leads to what I believe is Mikasa holding the head of Ymir walking towards Armin. Instead of just showing up in the following page, there is a bit of dialogue that goes between what I think is Mikasa and Ymir. Mikasa, while carrying the head of Eren, sees Ymir and tries to communicate with her, but Ymir simply won't open her mouth. Mikasa pretty much gets a rough understanding of her while taking a clear look into her eyes. Mikasa also remembers of times when she had headaches because Ymir was trying to talk to her since she was born, which I think this here now is kind of a better understanding of the whole Mikasa and Ymir theory that was talked about when the last chapter dropped. Ymir tells Mikasa, from what I think is the inner dialogue to herself through her head, that the truth was that she couldn't save King Fritz, and he died by his spirit and she felt awfully guilty, which has many people to believe who made her children really eat the corpses then. And flash forwarding to when it shows Ymir hugging her children and crying when Fritz died. The conversation continues between the two, and Mikasa ends up calling her love a long nightmare. She confesses to Ymir that her powers took lives she created, but ends up thanking her for giving her life too, and tells her to rest in peace and that she is now freed. Moving forward to after everything is settled and the 3-year time skip occurs. There are supposedly shown panels with no text of the Alliance meeting with Historia. Both Armin and Historia are shown talking, Reiner Reiner, of course, is still blushing. Jean and Mikasa, who are also with Historia, all smile at each other. And Annie, who is not good at handling what I think is Historia's child. So this is where things get tricky. From what I read of these spoilers so far, it seems to be in a decent order and I can kind of place where these scenes are going to happen in between panels. But from here on out, it seems that it's completely striving away from the last portion of the original chapter. And it says, moving on, Mikasa has a husband and a child in a reality from what I believe is right after the last panel of the series. Apparently it has shown them walking towards the tree with many people to believe her husband is Jean, but it's shown from the back, so it's not entirely confirmed whether it's Jean or not. If I were to throw my 2 cents into it though, it would be that I hope if anything it's Jean. It definitely gives more meaning and depth to it rather than just some random character in the series. This all occurs from what looks to be another time skip after the series concludes, and even further it implies that Jean's dream of having a family with Mikasa is more so important from when Eren sent all the dreams from the paths, and that it's more so similar to Mikasa's ideals and Armin exploring the world's dreams. Moving forward, this is kind of what it implies and shows that the hallucigenia, or the wormy thingy everyone always calls it, is seen crawling away and looking for a new host because Mikasa's love for Eren wasn't strong enough and or just wasn't romantic enough for it to stick around, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I think if the bond between them wasn't strong enough, why not stick around the people that are already hurt and find a new host that way? But this is where I think if Isayama wanted to continue the storyline of Attack on Titan with a new series, this would probably be the best time and place to do it, with the hallucigenia being the key factor to start it all. Then it seems to be a skip to when Mikasa is narrating when she is heading to the grave of Eren with her family. It states that she loved Eren like a sibling or a close family member. Another time skip occurs from what I think is Mikasa in her last living years with her grandkids and in a wheelchair, which ends that timeline of old Attack on Titan. And flash forwarding to apparently modern day times with the school cast. Modern Eren, Mikasa, and Armin watch Attack on Titan as a historical monumented movie that of course was based on real events that occurred in their world over 100 years ago. Mikasa is kind of this speed watcher and doesn't necessarily care about the plot holes in the movie. Armin is a nerd and he hates at these plot holes and how it ended in such an unsatisfying way. And modern Eren is third wheeling this conversation, but he's happy that he's with his friends, and also says that if there's a sequel that he'll be glad to watch it together. In doing so, ending the series of Attack on Titan. And for some reason, I can't really shake this own headcanon thought I have about this whole conversation between their modern selves. For some reason, I think Isayama is implying that maybe this is a split in the community of the fans. One half being the side of Mikasa, watching the series and not really caring about any plot holes, but just enjoying what she is watching. And the other half being Armin, the side of where people might be analyzing things too far and not quite fulfilled with how they wanted it to end and unhappy with such an unsatisfying ending. So who might be Eren? Well, I think Eren is Isayama in this sense. Eren of course isn't really talking much into the discussion and isn't engaging in his own thoughts on either side, but he's happy either way because he knows deep down he's glad and can move on with the knowledge of the wonderful moments and journey he made along the way. And if this just so happens to happen, then maybe this won't be the last time we talk about the new ending of Attack on Titan. So before I head on out, to kind of conclude a bit of everything, and if you're still wondering about where I would place Attack on Titan now, well, it's all up to this final official bonus chapter we get and me reading it firsthand to really decide whether I enjoyed it or not. As for Isayama, I don't know where he will go from here, but one thing's for sure, and that's my faith in him. And I think all that is needed is time for him to decide where to go from here. But as long as he's happy and fulfilled with his own series, then you know, for all the great memories and times I've shared throughout the years, even with the ending not coming to my satisfaction, I can't deny all the years I spent with this series. So once again, thank you Isayama, and see you later. Shingeki no Kyojin.